So yeah, this story is a scary one, guys. I've had a lot of supernatural, paranormal, whatever you want to call it, experiences in my life, but this one, to this day, still makes my heart race. So I like to think of myself as the type of person that doesn't scare very easily, but if I were to face this again, I don't know how brave I could be. So about 6 to 7 years ago, I was going through a dark period in my life. I was isolating myself a lot and struggling to get out of a deep depression. As a result, I would spend a lot of time alone in the desert. I would drive out at night, sleep somewhere on a trail in my car, and in the morning I would go looking for crystals and rocks in the cool hours of the day before the raging sun came out. One night in particular, I went to one of my favorite places where there was a lot of interesting wildlife that hadn't been exposed to a lot of human traffic, and there was a lot of rare cactus, and I really enjoyed this area, but this was the last time I will ever go there. So what I would typically do is sit in my car. Sometimes I'd crack the windows because it'd get foggy in the car, sometimes I wouldn't. I had the windows cracked that night because I remember trying to decide if I was going to put them up or not, and I can't remember if I had stopped playing my music or not when it first started happening, but either way I ended up shutting my music off when it first started happening or before it happened. So I'm sitting in my car, and off to my left I hear like a thud. And I thought, what was that? It sounded almost kind of like a car door in the distance or something, but then I heard it again and again. And I was like, okay. And at this point my music was off, so I don't remember if I shut it off right then and there or if it had already been off. But it was quiet now, and I'm listening. And I start looking, and I don't see anything. Obviously, it's pitch black desert, so I'm not going to see anything. So I just sit there, and I'm waiting, and there's no sound, and there's no sound. I don't hear anything. I don't hear so much of a cricket, nothing. Which the desert isn't always super loud, but like I said, this area had a lot of wildlife, and typically I heard noises at night. Next thing I hear is another thud, and it's getting closer. And at this point, I can recognize the sound is like the sound of hooves. There's a clip-clopness to it, and the type of desert terrain that I'm in, there's a lot of like really hard packed ground, almost like the bedrock is right at the surface. There's no topsoil, so it's very hard to walk silently through this type of terrain. It crunches a lot, it makes a lot of noise, and I'm hearing this very clearly. And it's clip clop, but like a deep heavy clip clop, and it doesn't sound four-legged. And at this point I'm just kind of honestly thinking, like, there's got to be a burro, there's got to be a donkey, something has got to be loose around here, because I'd never heard anything bovine in the desert before, and the only animal I could think of that would make this noise would be like a bovine animal, so it had to be a donkey, because that's the only animal I could picture being in the desert. And I'm hearing it still, and my heart's starting to race. I'm starting to panic as it's getting closer and closer and closer. And at this point, something happened to me that has never happened to me in my entire life in any other situation. I experienced full body paralysis, to the point where I couldn't turn my head, I couldn't hardly blink my eyes, I was frozen, completely still. So as I'm sitting there, completely frozen to my seat, unable to move whatsoever an inch of my body, I'm hearing this thing get closer and closer, to the point where I hear it step up to my car, next to my window, right by my face. And I desperately want to turn the car on, drive away as fast as I can, look to see what's coming toward me. I can't move. And I hear it breathing. I hear these deep... And the best way I can describe it is like a horse breathing. And out of my peripheral vision, I can see the steam of this thing's breath on my window. And I can't move. And at this point, I think fear took over. I don't know exactly what happened, but I blacked out. I completely blacked out. Because when I came to, the sun was coming up. And I remember the moment before I blacked out thinking, like, oh god, this thing, whatever it is going to walk around the front of my car. I can't move. It's going to be able to see me. It's going to be looking right at me. But for whatever reason, it just stood there until the point, like, of my soul leaving my body, because I was gone. And when I came to, I obviously panicked. I could move again, so I started looking around. I looked all around. I'm not going to lie and say I got out of my car and looked for footprints or anything like that, because I did not get out of my car. I immediately started my car, drove away, never went back, never looked back, will never go back, have no interest. So whatever this was huge, because the footsteps were so loud and so heavy coming up to my car. The breathing was so loud and so heavy. And when it moved to like bend, because it's almost like it bent over before it started breathing on my window, I almost heard like this, like, I can't make the noise. It sounded like leather. If someone was wearing leather, like really thick leather, kind of rubbing against itself, and that crunching noise as it tries to bend that I can't explain, but if you've ever heard it, you know what leather sounds like. That's the noise I heard as it like crouched before it started breathing. I mean, it was a very odd experience. I always thought it was some kind of minotaur, because that's just the impression I got, even though I couldn't look at it. I know that sounds crazy, but that's just the presence I felt next to me, was some ginormous minotaur. But recently I've heard a lot of stories about this Goatman, and it's got me thinking, maybe that's what I encountered. I don't know. I've also recently heard that the Goatman steals part of your karma, and that if you look at it, it steals part of your karma in particular. I always looked at my paralysis as a weakness in that moment, but after hearing that theory of the Goatman stealing your karma when you look at him, it made me think, what if something was protecting me and that's why I couldn't move? Because if I had been able to move, I would have looked at this thing, whatever it was. And then it could have potentially stole my karma. If it was a Goatman, it could have done something to me, hypnotized me with its eyes, whatever it may be. A lot of the times in supernatural experiences, when people are having an experience with a cryptid, looking at the thing is what gives it power. So it makes me wonder if, maybe a guardian angel or something froze me so that I couldn't look to protect me. And then I blacked out because of fear, and that kept me from looking, obviously. And I was safe within my car because I hadn't invited it in. So once the sun came up, thing left, I was good. Just a thought, but I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. I'd love to hear your theories. I hope you're having a great day or night, whatever time you happen to be watching this. If you like my content, please like and subscribe, and I look forward to interacting with you in the future.